Hello, and welcome to Concept Arcs, a show where we discuss ideas for sequels, remakes, and original ideas for games, movies, and all kinds of entertainment. And today we'll be talking about a 40k fighting game.
Ooh.
I'm kind of a fan of 40k. I played a lot more way back when it first started. I'm not a
Well,
super fan of it. Well, not when it first started, obviously. I'm like not that old, but
third
back,
edition.
yeah, like third edition. I was pretty young at the time. I painted a lot more then. But yeah, like I said, I'm not a super fan into it. I don't know lots of characters. I know like Keldor Drago and stuff. A couple others. I mean, Keldor Drago's kind of a tool, but... So this will be mostly your cup of tea there, Ryan.
Oh yes, 40K. Possibly my favorite sci-fi franchise as of current.
Yeah, it's a good sci-fi franchise. Go ahead and... If you were going to make it a fighting game, how would you go about doing it?
Well, something I think you'd have to do is keep it. You'd have to make it very gory. It'd have to be very violent, kind of like Mortal Kombat. And there's a couple ways to go about it. You could do a 3D fighter or 2D fighter. I think a 2D fighter would be more reasonable because it'd be pretty similar to Mortal Kombat, but
I think making
so
it a 3D
you'd have
fighter...
more.
Oh, sorry.
No, you can go ahead.
I was going to say, I think making it a 3D fighter would probably be a little bit better to help differentiate it from Mortal Kombat. But then again, Mortal Kombat as a 3D fighter wasn't all that great.
Yeah, as a 3D fighter, because it'd have to be a pretty big arena, because most of your characters in 40K have some kind of ranged weapon. If you were doing a 2D fighter, doing like Mortal Kombat, where your guns and psychic powers could be a series of special moves, that would also work. But if you do a 3D fighter, kind of like a mix of Soul Calibur and, it's gonna sound weird, Pokemon Tournament. You'd have a couple different phases. You'd have the two different phases, like Pokemon. Your far phase, which would be in charges and running around and stuff.
All right.
And then when you get into close combat or closer together, it would change into closer, like Soul Calibur. I think would probably be the best 3D fighter, because most of your 40K characters have weapons.
I would probably try... I don't know. I might build it more around like a team combat system if I did it. So like it could still be 1v1, but what I mean by like team is it could have more than two people in it at a time. That way you could have bigger battles, bigger range.
Yeah, that'd be
some characters would
fantastic.
Obviously better. Some characters would obviously better with range. A system close to what I'm talking about would probably be that not so good Final Fantasy fighter they just made. That's free. I mean, it's alright. It's just the network stuff is not great, at least in my experience. But something kind of like that. Maybe not the flashy, like skating around and, high speed movement. And well, maybe kind of high speed movement, but not like the mobility of it, but just kind of how the arenas are like kind of big and you can move around a lot. Sort of like that.
Yeah, and it's hard to think about, because like for a fighting game, if you have multiple planes to like stand on, ground, and then like rubble that you can stand on, to make
and stuff. Yeah, that would probably work.
Yeah,
too. But I honestly, I think the Mortal Kombat approach would probably be the best, where it's like, two characters, they square off. Maybe you do a tag team mode, because more fighters need those.
Yeah, and
yeah, like that.
Not Mortal Kombat, and 40K. I mean, it lends itself to plenty of easy ass characters and special moves and brutal combat and weapons and shit. I mean, it popularized the chainsword, which, as an idea, it's just like ludicrous, but it's awesome.
I mean, chainsaws tend to be more intimidating, I think, than effective blades. But I don't know. I've never used a chainsaw on meat, or really watched it, other than in like Resident Evil and stuff. So I could be completely wrong on that. I'm sure people will let me know, but I don't think chainsaws are the most effective way to cut through meat. I think they get stuck. But then again, this is the future where they have ray guns and shit. So
yeah, I mean, the picture that we made for, just quickly to show, like, you get a character like Iron Man right there, the guy with the robo arm.
All right.
He has like the combat shotgun, so he's like, oh yeah, he's just a regular. He's a buff dude, but he's just a regular dude. but he has a robo arm and a high pain tolerance.
I imagine the size scaling. I imagine size would be a stat in this game compared to like other fighters where most characters are around the same height. Even though like Shao Kahn should probably be about 2 or 3 feet bigger than some of the other people.
Oh, he used to be.
Well, maybe not 2 or 3 feet, but maybe like a foot bigger than everyone else.
Yeah, go like it's gonna be another bit weird one, but like the old Dragon Ball Budokai games or Budokai Tenkaichi.
I don't think that would work at all.
No, not that style of fight. Like the different categories of character.
Oh. Okay, well maybe in that respect, although that's kind of a niche aspect of the game. As to where I think in this one it'd be more of a main point. You know,
yeah.
Your little human guy right there with the shotgun, he'd probably be fast because he'd be small, which would give him lots of mobility and stuff. And then the bigger characters, obviously, just because of size perspective, they'd still be fast, but they would definitely be noticeably slower. I would think, just with more health and probably hit harder.
Yeah, ideally. Then you got your bigger characters. Like there's no picture of one, but like let's say we added. Well, Gaskell's pretty big. The big orc right there. So he would have lots of armor, and like some fighting games where like you get hit it, but you can hit before you get knocked out of your.
I didn't actually recognize the orc at first. Out of the characters on the picture, I recognized. I'm pretty sure that's Chaplain Grimaldus.
Yep.
Saint Celestine, I think, is her name.
Yep.
And the Red Terror.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I knew 3 out of
8. I was in charge of a 40k fighting game. I'd probably have at least 15 characters.
Yeah.
I would try and get it. I would try to get like 30, but at least 15.
I mean, it depends how well the game did. It would be how many you'd get, how much budget you got behind it. These are aspects of the game we don't normally talk about because they're kind of more boring. Like how much budget you could get versus like how much you could put in the game versus the budget.
Yeah.
We could talk about it, but it is kind of boring. But it'd be doubtful if we did try to put a game together like this, it would have the same budget available to it, like say a Mortal Kombat or maybe around a Soul Calibur budget would be nice, but I don't exactly remember what that was.
I don't think Soul Calibur 6 had the big budget, but I couldn't tell you to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think it had the biggest budget. I think it had a reasonable one. But yeah, as far as putting it together goes, yeah, you would probably want at least 15 characters for not really a fresh IP, but a fresh IP to this genre.
Yeah.
But yeah,
a fresh genre to this IP.
Yeah, fresh genre. There we go. That's a way to say it. Yeah, I would like to see things like an interesting story mode in a game like this, because 40k is a very good setting for some interesting story modes. Very brutal ones too.
Yeah.
I had a kind of concept for a story mode how I would do in this 40k-ish game. But if you have your own, I'll listen to it and then I'll explain mine.
Well, the easiest way to do a 40k story mode for a 40k game would be like the warp, because the warp in Warhammer 40k is how they travel from planet to planet. It's faster than light speed, but it's also hell, legitimate hell.
Yeah, and it has other weird shit about it too.
Yeah, and time does not really make sense there. So sometimes when a ship jumps into the warp to get somewhere, it'll actually arrive to where its destination before it actually left. So it'll create kind of like a mini, not really.
Well, I mean that is kind of a paradox, but
yeah,
I guess it wouldn't really matter if you're too far away to see yourself. Because isn't there a story about an orc who went back in the past and killed himself to get 2 of his?
Yep, there was an orc captain who went in the warp and he went back in time. The warp sent him back in time, so he killed himself so he could have 2 of his favorite guns because 40k.
And then there's other. I mean, the orcs are kind of a comical group. They have like Orcomedes, for God's sakes.
Orcomedes needs more fluff.
Yeah, the one that's building a racetrack around the universe. They're ridiculous.
And yet they're barbaric savages that are hell-bent on war. And
well, if you leave them alone, they just want to race cars.
Yeah. But the warp can also teleport around, and the warp is kind of would be like the ideal to. It's like, how do you get all these characters that most of which aren't even close together, like Skull Taker, which is that there, and the Red Terror, which is the Tyranid, about to eat those dudes. I mean, they're generally on opposite sides of the galaxy. Well, the warp, you can get them together.
The warp's probably not a bad way to go about it. Definitely, you could have, like, basically one of maybe Zinch or something creates, like, a tournament using aspects of people left behind in the warp. So what you play is technically, like, aspects of various individuals who have gone through it. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
That could work, too.
That's not what I would do, but it's definitely the easiest way. Because there'd be a lot of cool places you could put arenas. Like, you could put an arena in front of the Golden Throne where you have characters battle in front of it. Which would be cool, but probably not a lot of
perspective, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could have on starships, if you have Tyranids, like, in the inside of a bioship would be pretty cool with all the spawning pools and stuff. In terms of, like, arena damages and stage hazards and stuff, there's a lot you could do with this universe. Stage, I know it's not Mortal Kombat, but based fate.
Stage-based. Oh, okay. So stage-based fatalities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a thing. I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, you couldn't call them fatalities unless you got NetherRealm to build this, and then they could call it whatever the hell they wanted. Call them, like, glory kills instead.
That would work.
But yeah, I mean, I don't dislike the idea of having stage hazards and stuff. It'd be interesting to do it in, like, a 3D fighter, but like we said, it would probably be easier and more effective to do it in a 2D fighter, just because I think that might be a little easier to balance. As I've never put together a fighting game or really worked with them, in my head I think I know how I could do balance, but it would be hard to just straight up do. I think well, having no experience with building these kind of games, I think one would be harder than the other. But I could be completely wrong on that.
Yeah, but probably not.
Yeah, so the way I would probably go about it is I would try to basically get it to where I could have just I would see what characters I could get access to. The one I would probably want would be the Black Templars, just because I think they look cool and that was the army I played. And
Black Templar's best chapter.
They're angrier than the angry no. Never mind. Yeah, I want to get them the most, even though as far as heroes go, they've got, like, Chaplain Grimaldus, High Marshal Helbrick, and the Emperor's Champion, who is kind of just a generic hero.
I mean, there's also
there's also Sigismund.
Yeah, but he's dead.
Yeah, but he's dead. In your one game where it's in the warp, you could bring him back, but
yeah,
not really for mine. Unless it had to take place around the time he was alive or before he died.
That would also be fantastic, but it's not what we're talking about today.
Yeah. So, the way I would probably, like, provided I could get access to, hopefully, the Black Templar, because I don't think they've been the star of any of the 40K games, have they?
Sadly, no, and it's a shame.
Because I know you played I think it's the Dawn of Wars, right?
Yeah.
I've never really played those. And I think those you play as the Blood Angels.
Blood Ravens.
Oh, Blood Ravens. And then there's that weird one where your Terminator armor doesn't stand up to Gene Stealer Cultist.
Yeah, you play as Dark Angels in that one. That game I wish was better.
Yeah. Oh, you play as Ultramarines in a few, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, in Space Marine, at least. I played through that one. Is there another one I'm not thinking of?
There's a few that came out a while ago, but in terms of recent games, that's pretty much it.
Well, alright, yeah, so I'd probably try to get Black Templar, and then if I could choose what army I'd want him to fight against, I would want to get the Eldar, or the Dark Eldar, one of the two, although I don't know what heroes they have.
Well, on the picture I made, that the guy next to, in between the Red Terror and Skull Taker is Eldrad Ulthuan. who is like the big Eldar hero dude. He's a super psyker, which would work well with the Black Templars with their hatred of psychics.
Yeah, so having either the Eldar, ideally, if I could get what I'd want to have the Black Templar and the Sisters of Battle, so I could get Saint Celestine because she's kind of a neat character, even though she's, I think, kind of crazy, but I don't really remember.
No.
And then I'd want to get like maybe the Eldar, get a couple characters from them. Yeah, actually, the Eldar might not be the best choice. It'd probably be better to have Orcs or Chaos because you get a lot of characters with them.
You can get a lot. You can get a couple cool characters from Eldar, like striking scorpion people.
Yeah.
Or,
Wraith Knights. You get a Wraith Knight character.
yeah.
That'd be kind of neat. So maybe the Eldar would work. But basically, I'd want to put on this remote planet, there's like an artifact that perhaps amplifies psychic energy, and the Black Templar want to get it because they think it's a relic or an artifact of the Emperor, so they want to get it, and then the Eldar want it because it boosts their psychic potential. So both of them would be trying to go get this artifact, and basically they'd be battling each other to get it on whatever world this is. I'd probably put it in a world where I could have lots of different kinds of environments, as well as some interesting ones, like, you put a level up on, I forget what the ships are called for the Space Marines, and I have no clue what the other one are called, for, like, their transport ships. But you could have, like, you could have battles up there, you can have an arena up there, you could have a couple different environmental arenas on the actual map. Those would probably be pretty cool. You definitely, like you said, you'd want it to be gory and just kind of over the top with its violence.
Yeah, because you gotta make it. You basically have to push it to an extent that the ESRB has to look at this thing and be like, "Can this even be allowed to be rated M, or is it too gory?"
I don't know about that. I don't really. You'd have to be pretty violent for that. I mean, they let Mortal Kombat get away with some shit. Unlike YouTube, where you have to dye your videos blue when they're killing people. Or at least that's what I see a lot of people doing. When they're like doing fatalities and things.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad.
Blue.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I want to see it.
Well, I mean, I can tell what's going on. It's just blue and weird. Maybe it's okay to kill people with blue insides. I don't know. Maybe that's the moral of the story. I apologize to the Avatar people.
The Na'vi.
The Na'vi.
Did they have blue blood? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Fucking who remembers?
Oh, Tau would be a cool one too.
You could have a couple of cool.
I mean, I guess in theory,
if
I was limited to 2 armies, I would probably take like, Black Templar because Space Marines are pretty iconic, and then probably Eldar for the second one. If I could get multiple armies, then yeah, I could pull from pretty much whatever. If they let me pull from pretty much whatever I wanted for this, like, it's a big meetup point in the galaxy where lots of these people are going to go fight, then yeah, then I could start pulling characters from all over the place. Even things like the Red Terror and various
Old One Eye.
Have different champions, have a different champion like character for each of the Chaos Gods.
Yeah, I mean, and then we have a picture of Fabius Bile on the picture. He would just be a cool character. I mean, he doesn't.
He's one of the
technically allied with
right?
Technically not. He is a part of that legion, or he was, but he does not actually follow any of the Chaos Gods. So he's just some crazy doctor man who runs around the galaxy being an evil mad scientist and is very good at it. Yeah, well, he figured out how to make gene seed better, but it also has a higher chance of killing you when it's implanted into you. And he's like, well, this is an improvement. But Fabius Bile, he has that giant thing on his back. I think it's called the Cheerigan. I mean, that could be all using all kinds of cool move sets because it's like a bunch of medical equipment and mad scientist tools and elixirs.
Yeah,
so you stab the shit out of you with that.
There's...
He also has a coat made of human skin, which is just neat.
I would say morbid, but neat works too, I guess. But yeah, it'd be cool to just make characters in this and build a fighting game around it. Like I said, your idea is you play with warp people in the warp somehow, and my idea is more they're hunting for an artifact in some section of space, and they battle each other to get it because it's a race to get it. Call it like the crown of the emperor or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the Imperium thinks it's some object that from the Great Crusade. Eldar are like, no, this is some ancient old one artifact, and Cass is like, there's stuff here, let's kill it.
Yeah, I mean the same motivation can be said for the orcs too. They're like, oh boy, everyone's going here. Let's go here and fight stuff.
And Tyranids are like, oh boy, food.
And then the tower just like, man, we passed through the wrong section of the neighborhood.
Now the tower already had a colony there. There's like shit.
Nuts. But yeah, I don't really know a lot about the Tau heroes either. I know there's like a guy who's semi-immortal, right? He's got like a fire sword or something.
Commander Farsight. He has a weapon of basically of whoever it kills and adds their life force to his.
Oh, it adds their life force to his, and that life force extends his age.
Yeah, because Tau don't live a few hundred years old. He also is a renegade from the majority of the.
Oh, so he's not liked by most of
the Empire. Yeah, but then you have like Shadow Sun, who is basically a battle suit, who is regarded as a hero among the Tau, and she has like two giant cannons on her power suit, which should be really cool to fly around as like in the range mode. Make her a character that's better at that part.
Yeah. Personally, the one I'd want to see the most is Chaplain Grimaldus.
Oh, he would be so fun. Because he would just be angry and mean.
It's just... Yeah, probably. But yeah, it could be done pretty cool. As far as getting whatever units and armies you could together. Because I think you'd want to have as many characters there as you... Like, at least a character from each army. Just so every army gets a little bit of representation. Maybe not the new armies, like the chaplains or whatever. They're not the chaplains. The
Custodians.
Yeah.
They'd be a bit broken.
Well, I mean, everything has to kind of get scaled back.
Yeah,
forward
I even
game, but
that they'd probably be good. Imperial Guard. There's a couple of cool guys like Iron Hand Strachan right there. Commissar Yera could be pretty cool.
I mean, I guess if they let you, you could always just make an army for this game, and then kind of center it around that. Maybe not like an army, but like a faction, like a chapter or an Imperial Guard regiment, I think is what they're called.
Yeah. For
the different Imperial Guard armies. That'd be funny if they told you could do it, but you can't use anything from the Imperium. Like, I guess our good guys will be Tau then. After all, that Fire Warrior is a badass.
That's true. He's also, if I remember correctly, that Fire Warrior, Kerenzian dude you play as Dawn of War Dark Crusade for.
Dawn of War Dark Crusade.
Maybe, yeah. He's the top champion.
That's cool. I mean, actually, has there been a game where Khorne is the main bad guy?
Yeah.
Which one?
The Dawn of War games usually.
Oh, it was Khorne in those?
It's a greater demon of Khorne. No, it's a greater demon of Khorne.
Maybe Slaanesh then, because I don't think Slaanesh gets... I don't think Slaanesh has been a bad guy in any game yet.
Slaanesh has had Noise Marines, and that's about it.
Yeah, maybe have the main bad guy be Slaanesh then. That way you can have Emperor's Children and whatever other units they have.
Yeah, bringing Lucius the Eternal. His freaky ass.
Which one's Lucius the... I have Doom Rider.
Yes. Give us Doom Rider.
I would have Doom Rider. But yeah, that'd be an interesting character design. But since we said about 15 pretty early on, let's hear who your 15 characters would be.
So I'd probably keep the people we have on screens. So Strachan, because the Catachans are basically just Rambo, an army of Rambo.
Fair enough.
and he's a badass among an army of Rambo.
So in this, for him, what kind of character do you see him being?
Well, he has the shotgun and he has the giant. He has the mecha arm, so he'd be probably a hitting and faster paced character at like mid to close range. He would not have very good long range because he only has a shotgun, grenades. So he'd be not a glass cannon, but compared to other, can be able to take much of a hit. It's kind of like a shame. He'd probably be He'd be a faster character, better close to mid range. Wouldn't have much in the way of long ranged attack.
All right, so he'd be like a short range character, not really good long range attacks. Maybe he throws grenades and stuff, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then like he'd have, how Jax has that goofy punch where like he dashes across the screen.
Yeah.
Give him an attack kind of like that, where it would be a really hard hitting punch.
So you'd build to be kind of like Jax.
Like a mix of Jax and it's hard to say who else. He'd probably be your most balanced character.
So he's okay at everything but great at nothing.
Yeah, I think that might be weirdly like one of the better ways to go about him. Or if you don't want him to be your your balanced guy, you could do Commissar Yarrick, because Commissar Yarrick is a badass old guy who killed an orc and took its power claw to replace his arm. He also had his eye removed and turned to a laser because he heard the orcs mention that he had an eye that could kill them with a stick.
Well, all right. So, badass old guy.
Like he'd be slower than Strachan, but he would also hit a lot harder because of the power claw, and he'd probably have good because he has a storm bolter, so he had pretty good long range and powerful close range. But him being an old guy, again, he wouldn't be the of individuals. Shocking for the guardsmen, I know.
I would probably come up with a balance point for each army and then build around there if I was doing it. Basically being like,
well, yeah.
Alright, so the Imperial Guard, they're kind of glass cannony because they're just humans. They have good guns, but at the end of the day, they're just dudes.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons they're cool, is because in a galaxy of horrors, they're just dudes.
Yeah. I used to play with a guy who played Imperial Guard a lot. We usually teamed up and fought various combinations of stuff. Usually orcs, chaos, or Tyranids, but occasionally you'd fight like Eldar. I don't think I've ever actually fought Dark Eldar when I played, but or Sisters of Battle.
I was in a game with Dark Eldar once, but they were on the opposite. It was a 2v2, and my friend was killing them, and I was killing Tyranids? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I would say add Sly Marbo, but you can't add Sly Marbo. He's too powerful.
No, I think you could. You'd just have to fall under the same kind of gimmick that each one of these would fall under, where, having an army of basically glass cannons for this fighter, since if you wanted to kind of feel like it, you'd have to give them they'd have to do enough damage to make up for the fact they don't really have any hit points, so they have to have decent damage.
A good
sort of like Vega, I guess,
Street
Fighter.
Kind of like the big heavy hitter for the Imperial Guard could be like Nork Dead Dog, which is he's the Ogren. If you remember what the Ogrens are.
Yeah, the big orc humans.
Yeah, they're the ogre-looking people.
All right, so yeah, that's your first 2 or 3 characters.
Yeah, I would definitely add Chaplain Grimaldus, because he has zeal. He yells a lot. He's also one of my favorite characters in the setting.
Yeah, mine too. I'd probably use him as the balance point character. The Space Marines would be the balanced army, since there's lots of stuff stronger than them, or as strong as them. But, they tend to have better defenses than an orc, but they're about as strong as an orc. They tend to be about as accurate as an Eldar, but a lot less defensive. That kind of thing. And then Chaos Space Marines are just them, but evil.
Yeah, they'd probably work for a better balanced guy. I would say, because Grimaldus, in the lore, Grimaldus had he had a building, a temple dropped on top when he lived, and he has a lot of feats where he should be dead, but he just refuses to die. I'd give him a lot of moves that have like armor. Like he would take some damage still, but he would just continue doing the move.
Oh, so kind of like poison, Dark Souls, or armor in a fighter. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd have a lot of stuff like that.
All right.
Just because I think that'd be pretty cool for Grimaldus.
That's your fourth character.
If I had to pick another, let's see, for another Space Marine, let's see, who would be a good pick? What the fuck is his name? Not Dante. Like, what is his? Gabriel Seth.
I don't know who that is.
Gabriel Seth is the chapter master of the Flesh Terrors.
The Flesh Terrors a Space Marine army?
Yeah, they're a successor chapter of the Blood Angels, so they suffer from the same degeneracies of being a vampire. He has a giant two-handed chainsword as a weapon.
Oh, okay.
So I think he would be cool to have, just because in the tabletop he has basically a counter special rule, to where like if you roll a 1 to hit him in close combat, he can roll an attack, basically an opportunity attack, and kick you in the dick.
Well, that doesn't sound pleasant. Yeah. I guess it's better than hit with his chainsword, though.
I think he'd be cool to have a very... I wouldn't say very counter, but he would have counters and be a space. He'd also be all about, down, just getting in close and doing long, strong combos. But they might require some, there'd be some time before that first hit for you gotta choose what you need to do to get out of the way, or whatever.
Fair enough.
I would definitely add Saint Celestine, because she is a living saint. She has the Emperor running through her. She has a giant sword.
All right.
She has wings and stuff. Cool stuff. You could probably. Then when it came to Cass, I would definitely add Fabius Bile.
Oh, so she's number 6 then?
Yeah.
All right.
For Cass, I would definitely add Fabius Bile. He'd be a very technical character. I would say. You'd have to know exactly what you're doing, because like his Shuriken would have a bunch of weird moves it could do. He could give himself temporary boost to power with his injecting himself with shit. Like what he could have like a grab where he grabs you with the poison.
All right. So he'd be a dot character basically.
He'd be a dot technical, whatever you want to call it.
Well, his specials would involve basically poisons and stuff. So
I would probably add Skull Taker as your most. He'd have no range, but he would be really fast. He would just rush in and just beat a lot of you.
All right. So that's 7 and 8.
I'd add Typhus.
Who's that?
Typhus is the Nurgle dude in Terminator armor.
Oh, I know who that is. Never mind.
Yeah, he also has psychic powers, so finally, after 5, 6, 7, 8th character, I finally get to psychic powers.
Fair enough.
But he has the big war scythe. He has psychic powers. He's Terminator armor. He'd be really slow, but my God, could he take a hit?
Okay, that'd be number 9.
I would say the Changeling, which is a demon of Zench that can change, as his name suggests, change his shape. He'd be like your Shang Tsung copycat kind of weird character.
Alright. I can see it. That would be your number 9, I think? No. 10?
Yeah. For orcs, I would add probably Gorguts. Gorguts is cool. He's the orc from the Dawn of War series. He's actually a pretty cunning orc. He also has giant armor and a giant power claw. so he'd be a bigger, heavy hitter character.
All right.
If I had to pick another orc character, who'd be cool? Nah, I think he would work by himself as the representative of orcs.
All right.
For Tyranids, definitely the Red Terror. He would also probably be a strange character to pick because he digs, and he's a fast,
Yeah, he
just
burrows,
nonsense. Right? Yeah, he burrows. He can swallow whole, so he'd have
Well,
like
there's
lots
his
of
glory
bites.
kill.
Yeah, and he's pretty fucking big, so he'd be like him and Gorguts would probably be like the biggest characters in the game. I'd probably also add. Would I add Death Leaper?
I don't
I
even
would
know
add.
who Death Leaper is, so.
He's a lictor.
Ah.
He's a super assassin Tyranid. I'd probably add for Eldar. I would say I'd probably add Mugen Raw just because he'd be a very ranged character, with the long minigun esque thing
Scythe on it?
with the scythe on it. Also, he looks cool because he's a buff Eldar in skull armor.
Interesting.
And then I'd either add probably Eldrad, just because another really psychic character who would have more. He'd be tricky also, just because Eldar.
All right, so you got 2 Eldar.
Then for
Continue.
my
14th,
if I
I
had
believe.
14th for a Dark Eldar character would probably be Leith Hesperax, which is a gladiatorial champion. She does all kinds of crazy flips. She's a Dark Eldar, so she's already pretty insane.
All right.
I think she dual wields like crazy knives things. Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, she dual wields knives. She wears bikini mail basically.
Ah.
And then for the last character, I would either have it be Shadow Sun or Farsight for a Tau representative.
All right. Yeah, I could see having Farsight. Farsight he
Farsight would be
does
easier to
stuff
make
different.
sense.
Yeah, Farsight he works differently than the rest of the Tau though, right?
Yeah,
Like he doesn't want Empire, he wants. Is he a Tau supremacist or something?
he's weird. He has,
Or do you not really know?
from what I remember, because I'm not a Tau player, and I don't really know anyone who is a Tau player. So my knowledge of the Tau is a bit limited. Farsight doesn't like the leading cast of the Tau, ethereal cast. That's what they're called. He basically took some Tau, fucked off to his own part of the galaxy, a little bit to the galactic north, and just set up not an empire, but a kingdom basically up there, where he didn't really want to rule it. He just wanted to get the Tau away from the ethereals. And then orcs attacked, and he took his armor up once again, and he was like, well, for some odd reason, I'm still alive after 100 years, so whatever.
Interesting.
He also has 7 robots that follow him around.
7 totally not samurai.
Yeah, basically.
I guess that kind of works in with what I would do. So, like I said, we decided on 15 kind of arbitrarily at the beginning of this, but it works out because that gives me basically I could have 5 armies to play with, each giving 3 characters for representation, and then so that'd be kind of how I'd determine what I'd be getting and putting into the game. So first, like I said, I would have kind of glass cannony characters for like I suggested for you, for the Imperial Guard, and I'd probably use a custom Imperial Guard unit just for story purposes, where I'd have their commander and then like 2 high end captains within the guard, and those would be how I do the guard characters. And then so the first one I'd have, he'd be kind of like a martial guy who's really good. You know, he's the long range character for them. So he's He's kind of like a sniper type character. Their leader, I would have be a psyker, which I'm pretty sure the Imperial Guard have psykers to some extent.
Yeah, I don't recall what position. I think they can be. Really positive they can be leaders.
Well, yeah. Well, for this guy, he would be. Maybe he's a closeted psyker, if I have to. He would be all about, he'd be all about basically using the psychic powers for defense. Is how I'd build him to kind of counteract their weakness of being glass cannony. So he can't take a hit, but he has lots of ways to like give himself temporary hits or armor or something along those lines. He'd be an older guy too, like really old, but still fit enough to battle. And then the third one would probably be a mid-range. I'd probably make it just a girl character, just because it doesn't seem like there'd be a lot in this game already. And I'd have her dual wield pistols and be kind of a medium range character. And then, like I said, overall they'd be kind of glass candy, so they hit hard, but they don't have a lot of hit points. Is sort of how I'd balance them. And that'd be how I would do my first three characters from the Imperial Guard. Next up, I would probably pick some Space Marine representation. And for them, I would do Black Templar, like I said. I would have Chaplain Grimaldus, High Marshal Helbrick, and a custom Emperor's Champion who's named. That way he kind of stands out. I would have the Space Marines be the balanced characters, kind of like I said for you, where they're kind of good at everything, but they're not really top end at anything, but they're the easiest to play. So for High Marshal Helbrick, I would think I would make him more of a kind of a long range controllery type character, where he kind of sits back and he kind of, based on how the game is played, like if it's tag teams, having him on your team, he has really good assist or something. Or if it's like a 1v1, he can like buff himself and set things up for combos, so he'd be like a combo type character. I'd probably make Grimaldus that also kind of probably a combo heavy character. And then the Emperor's Champion guy, I would make him a stance dancer where he goes into different stances to do things. So he gets like counter stance and he can counter with it. He gets, a high stance where he can do different attacks. And each stance opens up new combos for him to go into. So he'd be kind of a technical character. Probably pretty similar to Siegfried from Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
And
have a giant sword too.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I would do him. After that, I would probably throw in the Tau, just because I think they're an interesting army that could be explored. I would definitely have Commander Farsight like you had. I think the way I would do the Tau is they would be more technical characters, so their overall their 3 units would be more designed around maybe combos, I guess. They'd be more designed to be decent comboers. They're not really good at damage, but they have like long combos. That's kind of how I think I'd balance them overall. And then the characters, I would probably have Commander Farsight. And then
Farsight's pretty fast, I think, too, so he could be a really unique, not unique, but like interesting playing character.
So yeah, give Commander Farsight, make him be all fast and he dashes around and stuff. Actually, that's a good idea. I can make Tau. I would balance Tau around being. Yeah, no, I don't think I'm gonna stick with what I said. And then I would give him basically 2 custom members of his unit that kind of work with him. I'd probably make because I think there's other Tau Bladesman type characters.
Not really.
Well, there's like those samurai things that follow him around, right?
They're all in mech suits.
So yeah, I'd give him an assistant that also has a sword, who is like his apprentice or something. Maybe like that. That'd be kind of a neat idea. And She'd be a little bit different than him. Say he dashes around, she'd be all about maybe air game or juggling, maybe.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I'd probably pick like a really long range character, some kind of Tau sniper. That's also part of the Farsight, and that would be how I would do up to my 7, 8, and 9 slots. And then because we were talking about it a little bit, I think 10 through 12, I would probably go with. I'd go with Eldar. I'd have the Eldar be balanced around mobility so they can move around a lot. I'm not entirely sure which Eldar unit I would use because like I said, I don't really know a lot about them, but I think they would fit in the best for my idea.
Striking Scorpions might be pretty cool. They kind of look like Predator. They got like dreads, green armor, crab power claw thing, and chain swords and a pistol. Howling Banshees could be pretty cool.
I'd probably go with like a psychic commander.
A Farseer.
Yeah, who can fly and stuff. And that'd be like his thing. He like flies up and basically he's got really strong air game because he flies. And he's really fast. So yeah, I'd probably have. I'm not sure of an. You said that one guy, the guy we have a picture of was what was his name?
Eldred.
Eldred, since we were talking about him earlier, would probably be pretty good. Have him basically be there and he can fly and cast magic and whatever other nonsense he does. So he'd be one of those characters that kind of uses a whole bunch of special moves. His base kit's not all that great, but he's mobile so he can move around really fast. Yeah, then probably give him like a warp spider type companion, who they teleport around, because teleporting would be a useful version of mobility. At least I think it would be.
Yeah.
Maybe similar to like Smoke almost from Mortal Kombat 9.
Yeah.
So they just constantly pop up behind you and combo into something and then poop or pop away.
Yeah.
And then the last character I'd probably make not a Wraith Lord, a Wraith Guard character who would also kind of be another sort of protector of this guy. And they'd go around and their whole thing would be they have more defense than the rest of the team.
Yeah. And it would look pretty cool too because they're fairly big, I think.
I think so. I'm pretty sure they're bigger than a regular Tau.
Yeah, they're bigger than
or not
most things.
Tau,
I think
Eldar.
I think they're a bit bigger than a Terminator.
Oh yeah, then I think that would work out pretty good.
Yeah.
And then for my last army, I think I'll go with Sisters of Battle, and they would be fairly similar to Space Marines, although they'd be more about defense. Because I don't. Do they have better defense on average than the Space Marines in the game or the lore?
No. No, they're. I mean, they still have power armor, so it's still pretty good, and the faith of the Emperor, which keeps them alive through a lot of shenanigans. But no, a sister power armor is not actually better than Marine power armor.
All right. Is it worse?
It's human power armor, so yeah.
All right. So for the Sisters of Battle, I'd probably balance them to be a more balanced version of the Imperial Guard, where they're not quite as offensive, but they're also not quite as weak. So they'd be a little bit more balanced, where like their offense isn't quite as good, but their defense also isn't quite as bad. Still, I think that would give them enough difference from Space Marines and the Imperial Guard to where they'd be decently playable. As far as their characters go, I'd probably take Sister Celestine because she's popular.
She's also cool looking.
Yeah, her big gimmick would be she flies, so she'd have lots of air game.
I would say Adarapentia.
Yeah, a Repentia could be cool because those are the chicks with the mask, right? They wear, or not the mask. They wear like
They
the
wear like
chain sword
rags.
and the chain sword.
Yeah, they wear like red giant chainsaw.
Yeah, sure. Add a
Okay.
Repentia character in, that'd probably be fine. And oh, what are they called? Just like a standard almost sister to battle, with like a heavy bolter, and she'd be a mid to far range version, and the Repentia would be a close range version. So
That could work.
that you'd cover basically. So I guess Sister Celestine would be the medium range one, because she has that long ass sword. That's also on fire. And then give the Repentia the close ranged kind of build. And then give the do they have heavy bolters in the Sisters of Battle?
Yeah.
And give her a heavy bolter and never be a far range character. And that's probably how I would do my 15. So I wouldn't have any Tyranids or any Chaos unless I got more. And probably something else. Oh, I didn't have Dark Elder in there either. But so yours definitely represents more.
Yeah, I was trying to go with more of a representing and only use named characters.
Yeah, and mine's I had a lot of custom character ideas in there too.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I think I would try to balance the game around. And then,
If I think it would be best to have some named characters and then
well, I had
some original. Yeah, that I know. I'm saying your idea was probably better overall
Oh,
for in terms of a character roster. I would say probably add. And if you got 3 more, definitely cast.
yeah, it'd be either Chaos or Orcs. It would be the next 3. Because I kind of like the idea of having 3s. If they were randomly like, oh, you have to have, like, if I was gonna add more, let's say like Orcs for example, they would. I'm not even sure what their balance would be. I guess I'd make them more about juggling than anything else, really.
They'd have really bad range.
They'd have really bad range. And then if I got like Grey Knights, I'd have them be all about defense. So that they just kind of can keep hitting you, but they don't really die. Demons.
What couldn't you do?
Demons, I'd probably have be tricky. No, I'd say that for Dark Eldar. I'm not sure what I'd do with demons, honestly.
Yeah, because all 4 of them, the 4 main types, are just vastly different from each other.
I guess it would depend on the types of demons, like, because if I pick demons, I'd probably want to have the demon they're under. So like, I'd want like 3 Nurgle, 3 Khorne, 3 Zinch, and 3 Slaanesh. And then like, if it was Slaanesh, I could have like Fabius Bile. Khorne, I could have Skull Taker. Zinch, I could have that suit of armor. I can never remember its name.
Rubik Marine.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the captain guy.
He's not. He's actually a dude under the armor.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Yeah, him. And then for Nurgle, I don't know. I don't like Nurgle. He seems like the worst choice to join, but apparently he's like the best one.
A lot of people like him. I don't know why. I don't know why you'd want to join a god that makes you fat and smelly.
And it's like, oh, here, you have diseases, become fat and smelly. And like like gross look, like just gross. I don't know. I mean, I guess the other one, the Khorne, you're in a constant adrenaline rush forever. Slaanesh, you're probably gonna get. Well, something bad's gonna happen to you. And
Yeah.
I mean, Zinch is probably the best choice, just because it'll take him a while before he probably screws you over.
All of them are gonna screw you over eventually, but Zeech is probably gonna screw you over later.
Yeah. I mean, probably choose Khorne at that point, just because you're likely to die pretty quick. But yeah, as far as choosing what demons, yeah, I don't know. I guess it would come down to how. I mean, I guess I could make like Nurgle guys all about dots. So they have lots of tick shit that they can do. Like, haha, you've been hit with a poison thing. Now you take health. I have acid that I throw on the ground. If you walk through it, you take tick damage. Stuff like that. And Zinch, I could have all about, psychic powers and trickery. Korn, I could have be very similar to the Sisters of Battle. I think I forgot one.
Slaanesh.
Oh yeah, Slanesh. Probably about control. All about controlling your opponent, moving or forcing him to move around and stuff.
In a dance.
Like they'd have a lot of moves, like how Sub-Zero has the stun, or like there's characters have the repositioning type stuff. A lot of things like that. I'd probably want a system similar to Fatalities. I'd call them glory kills, like we were talking about. I probably wouldn't do anything like X-rays.
No, X-rays aren't really needed.
No, I'd probably do something more similar to like how the supers work in like Soul Calibur, where you build up a gauge and then you hit and it does a bit of damage. The only problem with Soul Calibur is you can't really use that bar for a lot of other things.
You'd have to have like a meter you could build up to do something like a big special move, or you could burn it to do special attacks.
Yeah, maybe more like the meter in like Dead or Alive, where you get like 4 bars, and as they build up, you can use them to do different things. Or kind of how they did it in Mortal Kombat 11, where you get like 2 defense bars and 2 offense bars, something like that. Some kind of resource you manage. I would probably want to include stage interactables. I think one thing I would do if it was a 3D game, I would want it to be 3D, honestly, overall, but I could see
so would I.
I could see the problems with balancing that more. But if it was 3D, I would definitely I'd want to have stage, like, fatality kind of things and stage interactables, like knocking people through walls into different areas, or, like, if you're on a spaceship, you can knock people out into space and it's like an insta-kill type thing, or you just jump on top of the ship, because a lot of these people can breathe in space with helmets.
Helmets are a good thing. Yeah, stage transitions would be really cool too.
You could have some over-the-top ones, like throwing someone through the atmosphere and then they burn up on re-entry and then they hit the ground and you land right next to them and you keep fighting.
Yeah, that might even be a little too over the top, but I'm not opposed.
Fucking see like Chaplain Grimaldus throw Commander Farsight through the atmosphere and he hits the ground and lands right next to him.
If you throw Chaplain Grimaldus through the atmosphere, he's just yelling the whole time, but not because he's in pain. Just pissed off.
I'll kill you. I don't know. That'd be funny. It's stuff like that, you gotta have a little bit of fun with the game. Like as far as how realistic and unrealistic it is. I mean, we're talking about some unrealistic stuff, and there's no reason that it can't be over the top and entertaining. I know some people tend to dislike those two things going together, but that's like an example. Then there's other ones you could do, like you take a guy and you throw him through a building, and all of a sudden you're fighting in like a guardman headquarters or something, and all the guards are like, what the hell? They just like run away or whatever.
Yeah, you can see him in the background. Like you can grab a guardsman in the background and beat the other guy with him.
And you can grab a guardsman and throw him at the opponent as the guards are trying to run away.
Or you're fighting in the building and like a stage transition is like you grab the guy and you just like basically smash him in the ground so hard, and
you throw him through
kind of
the
like the Hulk. You smash him a couple of times and they just go through the floor.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
People might be like a little confused when an Imperial Guard picks up a Space Marine and throws them through the floor, but whatever.
It all makes perfect sense if you ignore it.
I mean, I guess you could do it like Injustice does, where strong characters can do things like that, and weak characters do other things that are different. Like how, the more technical characters, if there's a car, they'll like flip off of it and get behind you, as to where strong characters pick up the car and hit you with it.
Yeah.
You could do something like that. And I think you could still do it in like a 3D type of environment.
it's one of those things. Like in my head, I can see it working just fine, but
Yeah. Like I said, it'd probably be 2D though, and there's no reason you can't have stage transitions and stuff in 2D. So, no one's saying you can't do that. I'm just saying I think it'd be cooler looking in 3D. But 2D would be fine. I mean, you could still, if you're playing a 2D game and you throw someone through the atmosphere and light on fire, it'd still be cool. If not ridiculous. Yeah. Let's see. But yeah, stuff like that. I mean, we could get into more technical stuff like how special moves would work and things like that, but that's not really too important for the concept.
I mean, it's not really that hard to figure out how. You think about how a special move work. It'd be certain command inputs.
Well, I meant more like, this guy does X and then X happens.
Oh yeah. Well, like Grimaldo's could have some fun ones. Like he'd probably have more. Go on.
I was gonna say, you just have Grimaldo just like he has one where he like whips. He I don't know. He whips his mace at you, and if it hits you, it bounces up in the air. He catches it, and then he shoots you, and you fall over. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's like a special move. Or like most of the guys with guns, their special moves could just be they shoot the guns.
Do crazy shots with them. With the Warp Spider character. With the Warp Spider character, you could have cool ones, kind of like a noob Cybot, where like he teleports around, does like 6 hits.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I've always wanted to see like a Space Marine or a Demon or whatever just do like a bear like hug that's crushing.
Yeah, you could have that be like one of Grimaldus's or High Marshal Helbrick's. But yeah, I mean, I don't really think there's anything else to discuss. So, were our ideas good, bad? Do you have ideas of your own that you would like to share? Let us know your viewpoints or ideas in the comments below. See ya.
Bye-bye.